W. Yes. All right. It's taking it a minute. I've got my, I've already had 32 ounces of water and I've got my water jug over here. All right, so I believe I'm live. Hello, Keller Williams. I'm going to go back to my Zoom screen. Here we go. All right, so we're live. Good morning, Keller Williams, Monday Motivation. Sally Hayes here, where we're doing the One Thing book by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, and we are on page 112. All right, oh, I love that. See, mine had Cheeto stains on it, Johnny, so I had to remove my white pepper. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go over here, and if you would care, I don't have anything. It's just us today. I'm gonna share my screen because I did a PowerPoint, and I'm gonna go over here and find it. Hopefully, we hope that happens. All right, here we are. And then we're gonna go over here to the One Thing. There it is. And let's see, there we go. There we go. We are going to start at the beginning and hit play. All right, so there it is. I went a little extra. I did the extra today. So we are on the Success Habit, chapter 11. There weren't a lot of pages in this, so we're going to actually do chapters 11 and 12. And we've had a lot of information from the very beginning of the book until now. And I'm still feeling like I'm on a journey. I don't know about you. I feel like I'm still on a journey.
Absolutely.
So, and it's okay. So this chapter, I really love, talks about habits, because this really spoke to me when I went through these two sections about the journey of creating habits. And of course, success is simple. Do what's right, the right way, at the right time. Sounds wonderful, right?
Mhm.
Not an easy thing.
No.
And I wrote a question at the top of my book, and it says, it is a powerful question that we've learned, right? The focus question. But it is a habit, and a habit is a way of thinking. And I still am feeling like I'm not quite there yet. I mean, habits take a little minute. And how do I create that habit? So we talked a little bit about that. And for me, I don't know about you, Johnny, or anyone watching this. I have to measure and revisit constantly. I love doing things differently over and over. I don't like routine. That's just not part of Sally Jean. Okay. So I really have to work on doing things consistently. How about you, Johnny?
So I am an overachiever in being scattered. Like I have like Olympic gold medal status and just like being scattered. And so routine is very difficult for me. And so I actually went to Walmart this weekend, was back to school, and I got some supplies I think will help me build some good habits. So I'm trying to get things in order so that I can set up a good environment for habits, because I realize this is the aha. I realize I need this. I need habits. I need to establish some really good habits. Conviction.
Me too. Absolutely. And I like that. The one thing about all of this, as Jay has a sign over his door. When you go out of his office, notice it at the top of the door. It's just a little wooden block, and it says, day one or one day you get to choose. It's day one. You're equipped. And through the rest of this book too, Johnny, it talks about environment
Right.
in a lot of ways, and some tactics and some tools for sure. So I love that. And it was good to see you at Walmart the other day. I stayed out of the school supply aisle because it was very crowded, but I love them. I love school supplies.
No, it's a little crazy, but
yeah.
I feel like if I could set up my lead gen, like set up my success habit for lead gen and do what I need to do, then the rest comes back, which is a lot what it says over the next couple of pages here.
Absolutely.
Is set up those habits and do the right thing, and then success happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it says, that the most powerful success habit is the focusing question. And then there that is again, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything will be easier and necessary? And Gary says, following the focus question is a way of life, and that he does it a lot. He doesn't do it to every single thing. Like, you can't apply it all the time to every single thing in life, because you would just be able to do that. But you have to do it for the most important things. That's where it comes in. It's what we call the big rocks, the big stuff. And I like that he chunked it down for all the areas of life that he was dealing with. And so you see on this, I cut out the number of the figure. It's figure number 16. And it's got all the circles on there. And then, so you just make them buckets. And he says, now they're in a circle on the screen, but he's put them in order that he feels like that when you focus on the top down, they all just naturally go together and they spill over into each other. So if you focus on your spiritual life first, then your physical health and your personal life, your key relationships, your job and your business and your finance. So if you guys are watching, if you don't have the book, like, take a screenshot of that. And then there's that focusing question. So it would be, we're going to go through how you can ask that question, that powerful question, and get powerful answers for each areas of those pieces of your life.
Before we leave this, Sally, there is no screenshot. There's just a picture of us on the screen.
Are you serious? You're not seeing any of my PowerPoint?
This is what's on the screen.
Oh, well, that's very fascinating. Okay.
Yeah, this is the full screen right here. It's just us. And then, yeah.
Well, okay, look, you've got the book. So I'm going to just put it right here.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Here it is. And for you watching.
Sorry, I'm getting drama.
It's okay. It's okay. Listen, we're going to make it happen. For you watching, if you don't have the book, first of all, you need to get the book. It's on Audible. It's at the front desk. It's on Amazon. It's on Keller Inc. It's all the places. And this is a figure. If you want to get a copy, I've got a PDF of it. So these are some ways for you to start working on getting more purposeful and asking great questions in each of those areas. And Gary says when he did that, he started firing. He felt like he was running on all the cylinders because in all those places that are super important. It's kind of like that wheel of life, right? If you're out of balance on one of them, you have a flat tire when you're running. So inserting an area of focus on each one of those is important. So here's some of the questions that he had. And I took a workshop, and on page 115 in the book, it takes it to the next level. So it tells you how to do the focusing question on each one of the categories. So when you do the focusing question, you say, what's the one thing I can do for my spiritual life? So you're going to insert for my spiritual life into the question. That by doing it, everything else will be easier and unnecessary, right? Then, so here's some examples. When you've chunked down what's the most important thing. So what's the one thing I can do to help others such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier and necessary? Or what's the one thing I can do to improve my relationship with God that such by doing so, everything else will be easier and necessary? So you just insert every one of those categories, and then you'll start seeing what your one thing is for each one of those bubbles, and you can focus on that. What's the one thing I can do to improve my skill at blah, such that by doing it, everything else will be easier and necessary? So on pages 115 and 116, he gives examples of chunking down each one of those areas. So like for my job, a lot of people will go, well, what's the difference of the circle that says for my job or for my business, right? So I need to put this back up here since my screen's not sharing. So you'll see for my job, for my business, I had for my business, that's the we, the big picture. For my job, that's me. What is my role in my business? What's everybody for my business is the bigger picture, right? So think of we and me in those two boxes right there. So one thing that it says on the big ideas on the last page is number one is super important. So how do you make the one thing a part of your daily routine? A starter list from our experience and out in our work with others here are the things to focus on implementing this. First, you have to understand it and believe it. So there's that mindset piece. If you don't understand and believe, you won't take action. You know, and I think that's where for myself, a lot of times I will stop, because I think that's what stops us, is we really don't believe we can have extraordinary results. And that keeps us from working the system. And you have to use it. You have to become clear about it. You have to make it a habit. And then he mentioned 66 days again. And then leverage reminders. How can you leverage reminding that you need to get your one thing done in all the areas? It says we designed the back cover of this book to be a trigger, to set it up on your desk. Of course, I removed the back cover of my book. There it is. There it is. Thank you for sharing that. So that is a reminder, if you set it up on the corner of your desk, to look at that. It mentions also like screensavers, phone screensavers, tell your friends, all the things to help us be accountable to focusing on the habit, for sure. All right, so the next section is the path to great answers on chapter 12, pages 119 through 129. So ask a great question and find a great answer. People do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. So when the first word is decide, right? You have to decide and you have to believe to do that. And there was a great two visuals. I'm going to pop up here. I've got them on my screen that no one can see here. And it says that you have to live in big and specific. So there's big and broad, big and specific, small and broad, and small and specific for questions. And there's some different places that live in each of those that'll make us successful. And the best quadrant to be in is big and specific. So I thought this was interesting as they go through it. He actually started with small and specific in the book. So small and specific, I'm going to mess that word up over and over. What can I do to increase sales by 5% this year? Well, I mean, that sounds like a SMART goal, right? It's specific. It's a small goal, right? Because it's this year. And it says that it's only an incremental gain. And actually, someone might be able to do that if a market shifts. So that's not really pushing you to something grand, right? And you might accidentally do it. So that question is not the best not the best question. It's not going to get a big answer. It's going to get a small answer. So there's not really anything challenging about that. And quadrant number 3, what can I do to increase sales? I think I've got it on the wrong page. Okay. Boy, I'm just like, I was so on it, Johnny. I had all this, all this great stuff. So here's a picture. What can I do to increase sales? Well, that's very broad, but it's also small, right? So it's not even an achievement question. It sounds like a brainstorming session. Sounds like, let's get together and mastermind what we can do to increase sales. So it's big, but it's really small. So it's not really going to move you forward very well. And quadrant number 2, what can I do to double sales? So that's big. It's a big statement, and it's broad, right? So it's nice that it's big, but there's too many options. What does that mean? What can I do to double sales in 2 years, in 20 years, in my entire life? If I hit that goal, it's not got enough specific to it. So the very best quadrant is quadrant number 1. So what can I do to double sales in 6 months? Because first of all, doubling sales is a nice challenge just by itself, right? Doubling your sales is a push. And in 6 months makes it really big. And it might even be one of those things where, whoa, that's like 90 listings in 90 days. Okay. 1 listing a day, that blows your mind. And yet people have done that. It's messy, They grew, right? And they did. So this one, you'll have to stretch what you believe is possible and look outside the standard toolbox of solutions. So it's not going to live in your regular world, is it? What did you think about this section, Johnny, when you thought of the goals and all the things?
I thought there's a lot to this section. So it would take me a minute to kind of dig deep, but again, it's about those habits and it's about being specific because, you know, we know to think big. I mean, we hear to think big a lot with Gary Keller. Before coming to Gary Keller, I never heard think big. And if I did think big, I thought that was selfish or something like that. But the idea of thinking big gives you a bigger target, gives you something to work toward, and then all these other pieces give you those habits for success to get there. But when it talked about this one specific quadrant, be specific, like what can I do to double sales, which is big, and specific in 6 months, you know? And so then it has to be, break that down into action steps.
Yeah, and you have to figure out, well, first your brain has to wrap around, how do I do it? And how do I do it in 6 months? Who else is doing it? You know, that's one of the things that
If someone else is doing it, then it can be done, right?
Yes, it's like the 4-minute mile, right?
That's
Where
right.
they
That's what I
thought
was
that was
referring to.
possible.
Yep.
So let's look at I'm looking big goals, big models on page 80 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Reminds me of how things so work together with all the things that Gary presents us. So in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it talks about big goals and big models on this graphic right here and the ceilings. And you can either look at these boxes or that you're boxed in, you be in the box, or as a platform step. Like, you know how you see those pictures where like, do you see the tennis shoe or do you see the high heel? You know, and it's kind of like a mosaic and your brain goes back and forth. Well, I think about that when I look at this is like, do you think of these as boxes or do you think of them as stair steps? And what can I do to double sales in 6 months? What can I do to get from here to here? Kind of blows your mind as well. And that's the big picture. Like that's big. So what questions can you ask? What big questions can you ask to get those big answers? And it's not just a big answer. Gary says that great questions get great answers. Not like this quote. Yeah, I know you can't see it on the screen, but it's reason can answer questions, but imagination has to ask them. And that's Ralph W. Gerard. I thought that was a great quote. Imagination has to ask them. So that's where the habit part comes in. So finding great answers is there are some answers. Some might be easy. You get an answer that's reachable, right? So you have 3 answers: an ability to ask and a great question, an ability to find a great answer, something that's doable, a goal that's doable, a stretch goal, or a possibility goal, right? So you want to, doable is most likely to be achieved, right? You've got that. And then the stretch goal is something that you feel like you can accomplish, but it's going to push you, it's going to stretch you. And possibility is that great big question, the one where it's like, how do I double sales in 6 months, right? Is it possible? And has anyone done it before? Has somebody gotten it together? And it says high achievers live in the possibility quadrant. And you know what? I think I hear so many times, and I've even said it myself, when I set my goals, right? I don't want it to be crazy over here because I'm going to feel bad if I don't hit that, right? So that's where we're living in doable or stretch, right? We never live in possibility because we haven't trained our habits to think that way. And that's where the thinking and the mindset and the habits of asking questions come in.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And Sally, you may want to unshare your screen just in case Facebook is stuck on that.
Unshare my screen because Facebook is stuck on it.
No, I'd say the possibility is that it could be just stuck on.
Okay. Well, I can't get it to now. So this is really going to be in a wonderful.
Sorry.
Let's see if I exit, if that helps. That did help.
There
Okay,
we are. I'm sure that it was good. I just didn't want people to be just seeing the one thing on your screen. Not the one thing, but the one thing. So, yeah.
there you go. There we are. So I think that when you look, when you look at the doable, stretch, and possibility, you have to know that the big answers, the extraordinary answers to the questions lie outside of it's already being done. I'm already doing it, and it lives outside your comfort zone. Though it's not going to be there. And that's where all of us, I think, get into struggle, right? So it says that what we have to do is do benchmarking and trending. So we have to think big, and then we have to ask ourselves the questions about the possibilities and really ask, who do we need to be to hit that possible? Who may be working toward it, who's close to it, and then start trending to make a benchmark of where we are and start talking to other people and finding out, is it possible? What ifs? I mean, there's so many things in life that no one thought were possible, and someone was a possibility thinker, right? Definitely Christopher Columbus didn't think the world was flat, right? So, he was so thankful that there's a lot of people in the world that are possibility thinkers and didn't stay in what's doable or what's a stretch goal. So they didn't stay in average. And it says that you'll have to reinvent yourself. You will become a different person when you come out the other end, because you have to. You can't stay where you are in terms of the same things every day. You change. Does everybody love change?
No.
No, I think that's what stops us too. Is that scary?
Very scary.
Absolutely. So some of the big ideas at the end of page 127 to take away is think big and specific, right? Think possibilities, and then benchmark and trend for your best answer. So I am going to reflect more on, and I've worked at it this last several days of just asking myself, what's the one thing that I can do right now? And so in everything that I'm looking at, because it sounds like that's what Gary does through his day, and how can we make that a habit? So I am looking forward to next week. We're going to talk about unlocking the possibilities within you and me, right? Extraordinary results. So this is going to help us get there in our start. And definitely, I don't believe, because I've had this book for a while, that this book is one that you do this thing and you put it on the shelf, because then we go away. Our habits are either where we're going, we're running to them, or we're running the other direction. Right. So I hope y'all have a fantastic Monday, and thank you, Johnny, for being on here and giving me the heads up about the screen share and all of that. I appreciate it.
You're good. It was great. It was good. We're gonna think big.
Think big, and then
be
we're going to ask our
specific.
questions. We're going to do more questions this week.
Be specific and get more questions going. All right,
Yes.
thanks.
We'll see you
Thank you,
soon.
Sally. See you.
Bye, guys.